Right, so in this video I'm going to walk you through classwork for day 2 with a reminder that from here on out classwork is intended to be done on your own without instruction. If you're in the classroom, and I think that's a reason you probably want to come to classes, you can definitely ask questions. So some of you will be doing it, most of you in class, but that's the preferable way. But if you're online, then you're going to have to be working ahead a little bit, okay, because classwork is due before the end of class. So this is a really important week. First week always is, and this is a really important assignment because we're going to set up your course repos on your local system, because that's what you will need from here on out before you do, well, that's how you'll submit all work for this class, okay? So I'm actually working on a Windows 10 virtualized environment on my Mac, and I'm going to show this by using a flash drive, but I also will note where you could just use a local directory on your hard drive. I'm not going to dictate what editor you're choosing. I will tell you, as I've said before, I'm going to be using WebStorm. I highly recommend WebStorm. I think it's a great product. You can get a free educational discount, free for education, okay? So here's the steps I want you to do. So, and I'll do them, but here they are outlined, okay? So the first thing I would say is log in to your GitHub. And by the way, if you have a GitHub already, let me know before the start of class, because I can go ahead and set these repos up, because I will set them up out on the GitHub site. Okay, and I'm going to include what's called a git ignore file. And then what you're going to do is clone that into your local system. And the reason I like this clone idea is that if you ever didn't have your laptop, or if you ever lost your flash drive, this is the same process you would use to do that. Okay, so if you're running Windows, definitely Git for Windows, because that includes Git Bash. Okay, all right, so I'm going to get started here. Get started. Isn't that funny? So I'm going to do Git Bash. Okay, so Git Bash gives me a command line, and in this command line I am going to do ls for list of files, and I can tell that I'm on the local directory. So also, and I'm going to show you this, I have already plugged in a USB device. Okay, I'm just going to click here and show you that I have an E drive, E disk, it's signified by E. By the way, if you're on the Mac, all you have to do here is look at your volumes to see this as well. But I think if I have time at the end, I'll show the Mac side for this. But regardless, if you're going to put it in your documents, right, so then you would change directory into your documents. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change directory into that E drive, and I'm going to do ls. There's nothing there except an inf, which is just a configuration file. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, and the steps I'm about to do, you only have to do once. Okay, so let's do the one-time steps. So we mk, matter of fact, let me just zoom in a little bit. Mk, make directory, cit 93 fa16. Enter. So that made the directory, and now if I do ls, there is the directory listed. It's right there. Okay, so now I'm going to cd cit 93 fa16. So now I'm in this directory. So now I'm actually ready to clone. Okay, so I'm going to show you the clone command and what that looks like. So I'm going to back out for just a second, right? And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to this directory, and it shows option right here to do clone. And what you can do is you would just copy this. This is the address on the remote site for your repo that you are then cloning locally. Okay, you can also just copy that into my computer's memory here. Okay, so back here, remember, it's really important at this point because it's gonna create the subdirectory and the repo at the same time. So we're gonna do git clone, and then I'm gonna paste that. Oh, looks like I have to paste it a little differently here. Paste. Cool. So this is the command you would use. Zoom in. Now this name will be your username that you give me for your GitHub account, and this is our organization that are private repos. Okay, we'll talk about public repos and the importance of them later, but let's go ahead and hit enter here. So now it's cloning whatever I had out there, and what I had out there, if you saw, was a git ignore file and just a readme file. And it's just going to take a couple minutes because I'm working on a USB device and that just takes a little longer, right? But again, if you were on your local device, it might be a little faster. So, but you would start in whatever directory. So just to back up here, if you were working on your My Documents, first thing you would do is create that directory, change into that directory, and then clone the repo that I've created for you. Great job. Okay, so you've gotten this far, you're on a good row. So I'm going to do here, I'm going to do ls for, and it'll show me list of directories, and I'm going to do cd Rio Waller. So again, yours will be your name of your GitHub. So now I'm in the repo. Great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over, right? So by the way, let's just change, look. Yep, there's the README file. And the git ignore file is actually hidden. It is in there, but it's just hidden. Okay, and that's why I decided to go ahead and set those up, because it's just easier and it's a one-time setup, and I thought it just might make this process easier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to my editor of choice, and I'm going to set up a project for my local system. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, I'm going to create this is again the one-time work, right? So once you do this, then it's on that local system. I'm going to come here, I'm going to go down into here, I'm going to click into here, right? And what it's going to do, and I'm going to click OK, so you click on your username. Again, this is WebStorm. I'm not telling you have to use it, but it's definitely something I think is a good thing to learn. If you're using Sublime, you'll get to figure this out on Sublime, or I can help you. So I'm going to go ahead and create. And it's going to ask me that there's not is empty. Would you like to create the project from the existing sources? And I can say yeah here. There's really nothing in there, but it'll go ahead and create that and set it up. And it might take again a few seconds here to kind of get everything set up, because A, I'm running on a virtualized environment, and B, I'm running on a USB. Okay. So, but I like having this functionality available because it's just a good way to go. All right, so while that's doing the setup, which it looks like it got it, right? So let me see if I could, yeah, cool. So now you can see the git ignore, right? And there's a way you can see the folder. You can have the folder, there we go. Right. So now what we're going to do, so now that we have this, right, I'm still going to use Git Bash. You can use terminal within the editor, but just to keep it simple for now, I'm going to go ahead and use, and I typically use just the standard Git Bash if I'm on Windows and the terminal if I'm on Mac. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new file, right? So I'm going to go right click, new, HTML file. Oh, no, I'm not actually. I'm glad I remembered. I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to do new directory. Okay, and within this directory, I'm going to type week, let me zoom in, week 1. Okay, and you'll do this for each week. And then, right, so now we can see under here, where did it go? Did I do it? Directory, week 1, did I cancel out? There it goes. All right, so, and then under week 1, you're going to right click in another directory called day 2. And this is the directory structure that we will have through the semester. Okay, so for each week you'll have a day, right? So week 2, and I'm going to show this again in a different video later, so I won't talk too much about it, but it is mandated that you follow this structure for now. This is going to change over the course of the semester, but to get started, this is where we're going to do it. So now in here, you're going to do new, and now we're going to create an HTML file for Classwork. Now you don't have to type .html. If you told it it's an HTML file in WebStorm, it creates that. Now the other nice thing it'll do here is it'll actually set up that those base required template codes that you need. And in here, I think, oh, and look at what it's asking me is, do you want to add this? And I'm going to actually say no here because I'm going to add it manually. Okay, so let me just flip over, because I think what I have you do in this particular file, and it's a fairly short one, right? A short message, there we go, short message about this work. And what I meant to say here is your particular workflow that you're going to use. Okay, so as an example, right, so I'm going to do like a down here, in here. I'll do a H1. Now I'm going to use Emmet because it's awesome, right? And you should all learn, if you don't already, know how to use Emmet commands. So I'm going to do my workflow, and then I'll do a P. So I will be using a USB drive and coding on the lab computers, right? Because the other option would be that you're coding at home, which is fine. It would be that you're bringing your laptop in. So whatever your workflow is, I want you to tell me that, okay? All right, so now another nice thing about WebStorm is now that I've created this file, it's in red. And red means it has not been staged and committed into the local repo. So let's do that, and then we'll push it out to GitHub. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up my, where's my Git Bash? Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so do git status so we can see that sure enough we'll have a file here. It'll tell me the Classwork file, week 1, right? So and we'd go into that to see it, but we'll just go ahead and do git add, and I like to do star here just because I'm going to say add anything. So the first stage for the first option is you take the file that's changed and you add it. And in this case it's called adding, but it's actually means staging it. And then you do git commit -m for message space quote, and you're going to say day 2 classwork. Okay, so this is what we're committing. We're committing day 2 classwork. So now what we've done is we've done the 2 stages that Git needs you to do to have the local repo. So the last thing we need to do is now we're going to push it up to GitHub into the repo that you cloned. Okay, so it should be, now by the way, I think you actually need to be at this point and logged in to your GitHub account, because if not it will ask you to log in, which is not a big deal. Okay, so I think, let's go back here, I'm down here, so I should at this point just be able to do git push because it's already set up the remote and done everything else for me. And so what it will do, let's see if it does it correctly. I've done this a couple of times and it worked great. So it's always fun to do a demo and see how things, if they flow correctly. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. Look, this looks good, right? So now what I can do, right? Now what I can do is I can go to my local, or sorry, go to my GitHub account. I can refresh it. I should be able to see that week 1, day 2, how excellent is this? And I see the classwork. Excellent. So now what you do is so now you're ready to submit, right? So now you've done the required steps to set up the repo. You've created your first classwork, actually your second one. You did one from the first day. And now what you're going to do is actually tell me that you've completed it. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to switch real quick to a student view so you can actually see this. Okay, I'm going to go to the student view, and what this does is it changes my view so that I see what you see. So I'm going to come in here, and now and actually notice I already did it, so for you it'd say submit. So this is the URL that you would paste because this shows me that you've set that up. And don't worry about this tree master, that's just the way it references on the GitHub site, right? And you can say completed my work, okay? And then you would hit submit. Now, by the way, again, we're working on this idea of prerequisites, right? So under prerequisites now that you've done that, now you can work on week 2. Okay, you can go ahead and work on that. And I'll have a video showing you for that particular one, it's a little different. But then we get into the week 2 process, which I will do a different video for that. All right, that is great work. I really like this process. I hope you find it helpful doing the cloning. And again, the reason I like this is because if you for some reason lose your laptop, which God, I hope that doesn't happen, your flash drive, you can always re-clone this directory locally. All right, talk to you later. Bye.